Hi, I'm James Pickens Jr., and I'm a guest On Screen and Beyond.
On Screen and Beyond, an inside look into the entertainment world featuring interviews with people from the movie, TV, and music industry, news on upcoming TV and DVD releases, and the rumor mill. And now, here's the host of On Screen and Beyond, Brian Zemrak.
Get ready for episode 752 of On Screen and Beyond, the show that brings you a celebrity guest each week from the movie, TV, or music industry, as well as keeping you updated on what's coming your way as far as remakes, sequels, prequels, upcoming new movies, TV and movie DVD releases, and the rumor mill. And I thank you so much for joining us once again today. And I am your host, Brian Zemrak, and our guest this week is James Pickens Jr., an incredible actor who, for the past 20 years, has been playing the role of Dr. Richard Webber on Grey's Anatomy, as well as numerous movie and other TV roles over the years. Now, James will be joining us shortly, so I hope you're going to stick around for that. And last week, we had Rachel Lindsay Bush, who was Carrie Ingalls on the Little House on the Prairie show. And I did get emails from people saying her name is Greenbush, but that is what she was credited on the show as, and her actual name is Bush. And we went over that during the interview, and I think that you'll find it interesting and amusing if you have not watched or listened to the episode yet. So it was kind of fun to find out all of that. But that's why it says Bush in some places and Greenbush in other places. But anyways, that's the story behind that. So if you want to check that out, check out last week's episode of On Screen and Beyond. Please check us out on the socials, of course, and I hope you will subscribe to follow us, whatever, on your favorite podcast provider, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. Video versions, of course, are on Spotify and YouTube, and the audio on all major platforms. So be sure to check that out. Subscribing is free, of course, and we'll get you all the new episodes as soon as they are released, and you won't miss a single episode of these incredible guests that we have here at On Screen and Beyond. Also, check us out on onscreenandbeyond.com, and you can get On Screen and Beyond merchandise there. And while you're at it, tell a friend about On Screen and Beyond and share our post on the socials so we can get the word out some more and we can get more guests here on Screen and Beyond. If you have a question or a suggestion for a guest, you can email me at feedback@onscreenandbeyond.com. Let's kick off this episode of On Screen and Beyond and what's going on in the entertainment world. It's time for remakes, sequels, and prequels.
Please hang up and try again.
Remake, sequels, and prequels. Greenland 2 with Gerard Butler hits theaters on January 9th. And George Clooney says Ocean's 14 is moving along as Warner Brothers has approved the budget and will probably start filming in about 9 to 10 months. So it's going to be a while, so get ready for that, though. October 17th, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein hits select theaters before moving to Netflix for streaming on November 7th. And director Michael Mann is getting closer, he says, to making Heat 2, a sequel to his popular crime drama Heat, and United Artists is in talks to make the film. And Final Destination 7 is moving along as a director is in talks with New Line to helm the picture. Coming up next on Screen and Beyond, upcoming new movies. Upcoming new movies on November 12th, Kevin James and Alan Ritchson star in an action comedy called Playdates, and that's going to be on Prime Video. Look for the action thriller King Ivory with Ben Foster and Melissa Leo to open nationwide on November 14th, and the gripping thriller Anniversary with Diane Ladd and Kyle Chandler strolls into theaters on October 29th. And that's it for new movies, upcoming new movies. Let's take a look at movies and TV on DVD and streaming. Movies and TV on DVD and streaming. Dakota Fanning steps into a nightmare in Vicious, now streaming on Paramount Plus. And Borley Rectory, The Awakening. Now, this is a supernatural thriller based on true events set in some of England's scariest places. and it stars Julian Glover, and it is available on digital download in the US and in the UK. October 17th, Universal Pictures brings us Black Phone 2 in theaters, and Downton Abbey, the grand finale, I should say, lands on 4K and Blu-ray on November 11th. And on December 9th, look for the 35th anniversary 4K Ultra HD release of Awakenings from director Penny Marshall and starring Robin Williams and Robert De Niro. And that's it for movies and TV on DVD and streaming. It's TV and entertainment time. TV and entertainment time, Monster Season 4 on Netflix, starring Ella Beatty as Lizzie Borden, has begun production. Showtime has renewed Dexter Resurrection for Season 2, and Apple TV Plus has renewed The Buccaneers for Season 3. And that's it for TV and entertainment time. Dr. Richard Weber is in the building. James Pickens Jr. is next, right here on Screen and Beyond. Joining us today on Screen and Beyond is an actor who we have seen on Another World, Beverly Hills 90210, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, The Practice, Nixon, Traffic, The X-Files, Roseanne, The Connors, 42, Station 19, and so many other roles, including the one in which he has captivated us for the past 20 years with well over 400 episodes as Dr. Richard Weber on Grey's Anatomy. He has a new short film coming out called Albert's Flower, debuting at the Montclair Film Festival on October 22nd and the 25th in Montclair, New Jersey, and you don't want to miss it. It's James Pickens Jr. James, welcome to On Screen and Beyond.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Well, James, it is so nice to have you here. And
thank you.
As I went through that list of all the things you've done, and that is such a minute amount of what you've done. But now you're producing, and also, of course, you're starring in the film too. What made you decide to go in this direction, and have you been doing it long?
Yeah, I've always, well, not always, but in the last few years, there were stories that I was passionate about, and I said, well, how should I get them out there? And I said, well, I'll see if I can just produce them myself. And then I started a company along with my producing partner, Christopher Wright, Bay Springs Productions. And this piece came to me. I was in New Jersey 2 years ago doing a wonderful play. It was a world premiere play called A Tailor Near Me with the wonderful actor Richard Kind. And our director, James Glossman, came to me one day and said, look, I've got this play. It's a short, it was 12 pages, I think it was. It was actually a class project. The writer had been in academia and decided he wanted to go back and take some playwriting courses. And this was one of his course requirements, was this short play. And the intention was that they wanted to use it as a fundraising vehicle. At that time, we were just coming off the tail end of COVID. A lot of the smaller regional theaters were suffering. And hopefully something like this would maybe re-energize folks to coming back to the theater, and we videotape it and stuff. I had done something like this some years ago that had some success. So anyway, he said, take a look at the play. And so I did. And I got through about the first 3 or 4 pages, I want to say, maybe 5 pages. And I just said, this is a film. And James, he said, you really? I said, without any hesitation. I said, this speaks to a film, a short film. And so I said, let me produce it under my banner. And I think folks need to see this. And so we went about gathering up an amazing production team and staff. And we shot it in Montclair, New Jersey, almost 2 years ago. It was a week before Thanksgiving. And we shot it in a day. I think we started around 7:15 in the morning, and we wrapped right around close to 5 o'clock. The
Oh,
weather, thank God, held up for us. Wasn't too cold back east. I'm from back east. I'm from Ohio, so I know what the weather's like right around that time of year. But the weather held up for us. I think the gods were in our favor there. But anyway, we got it together and put it in the editing room, and the film as you see it is pretty much how it was on paper. We adapted some things and tried to fill in a little bit of backstory, but for the most part, what you see on film is what the script had. And I have to say, obviously, I'm biased, but I'm very proud of what we have, and I think audiences will um, it'll resonate with audiences in a number of different ways, and that's what we want to do. Hopefully, that's what film does anyway. And the fact that we wanted it as almost like a piece of chamber music, just a small, intimate, very thoughtful piece of a piece that's um, celebrates the actor. I
yeah.
had a wonderful co-star in Ailish, who was just amazing. She's got the most amazing face. She says so much a lot of times without saying words. And she and I just hit it off. And I think that's what made the film what you see now. We're really proud of it.
Yeah. And I don't want to give away anything or it's tough when I review a film that I can see, but I can't really, I don't want to give it away. But
Yeah.
the only, I don't want to say negative or
Uh-huh.
thing that it's not that I didn't like it, but
Uh-huh.
the only thing that I have to say is I wanted more. What
Yeah.
happens,
Yeah. Yeah.
when
You're not the first one to say that. Yes.
at the end, what's going to happen here?
Mhm.
So,
You're
I
not the
mean,
first one to have expressed that. Yes. Mhm.
yeah, no, yeah, nothing negative. It's just,
Yeah.
I want more. I got to find out what's going on. What were all the things that transpired? Now,
Yeah.
before we go too much further, can you give our audience? I'll let you give away anything that you want. Can you tell us what the short is about?
Well, the short is about the past is not really the past, and it never is. And it's about coming to grips with coming to grips with things in your past that are painful, some that are celebratory, and how we navigate those things. How we take what we've learned, a lot of times what the scars that we have, and how do they translate into us moving forward. Sometimes those things may be some ugly, and may other times be profound. And I think this film tries to investigate those from Albert's point of view, a man who comes back to his home, his childhood home, to 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 confront uh, uh, images and feelings, and how Greta, the woman who now is the owner of the home, how she in a way facilitates that, how she becomes the voice for that, and then how these two people come together, and how they take this road and try and give it some level, like plowing a field, and so they can travel it in a way that it's going to be less bumpy. But at the end of the day, they have to come to some kind of either resolution in a way that audiences may come away saying, "Oh, I get it," or as you say, "I want more. What's going to happen at the
Mm,
end?"
yeah,
And I think that's it. But at the end of the day, it's the past is not really the past. It never is. There's always something um, that you have to deal with, whether you want to or not. It's how you deal with it, I guess, is the best way to say it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And like you say, when she first meets you,
Hmm.
she's sort of, looking at you like, what is this guy doing? You know?
Sure. Sure.
And she
Sure.
and
Absolutely.
like you say, she didn't say much. It was all in
Yeah.
the look on her face,
Yeah.
and she did it
Yeah.
so well.
Yes, yeah, she's a wonderful actress. But yeah, yeah, you come upon this man who's standing there, and she's looking. I don't want to give a whole lot of it away, but yeah,
Right.
how does one deal with that? How does one deal with that in a way? And I think the writer was really spot on in terms of how he viewed this woman, and
Mhm.
how what her perspective is on not. on her life, where she is, and how that folks that kind of come into this unexpectedly, how does she deal with them? So yeah, I think the writer did an amazing job with that.
Yeah, and your role, I mean, what can I say? Every role that you do, you have this presence about you. This we have to watch you. It's
Oh,
just the
that's so
way.
kind of you. Thank you.
And I've had over 700 actors on the show here, and I mean I can't say that about every actor that they draw you in, but Robert Vaughn, he was on the show, and I feel he has the same presence that you did. You
Oh,
had to watch him, and I
yeah.
never got to interview him, but Sidney Poitier,
Oh, Miss Potter. Yes,
and
yes.
it's just incredible that
Thank you.
and
That's
everything you do. I mean,
thank you. That's very kind of you to say that. I really, that means a lot. We our profession is like no other. I mean, we spend, our working hours living someone else's life, and which is in itself a feat. And so if we're able in some kind of way to impact someone or viewers um, experience. I think we've done our job, and I appreciate you saying that, and I'm very humbled by that. Thank you.
Now, Albert's Flower, it's going to be at the Montclair on October 22nd and the 25th. That's in New
Yeah.
Jersey. Um,
Yes.
Now, will it be, is it yet accepted into other film festivals yet, or is this still in the works? I know film
Yeah.
festivals are
Yeah.
hard to
Yeah.
hard to maneuver.
They are very much well, but we're still in the works. We have quite a few in the pipeline, and then we'll wait to hear back and see. We'll throw it up against the wall and we'll see what sticks. But we're
Yeah.
excited about it. I think once folks I think other jury members and other folks who are involved in the admission process, once they see the film, they'll feel as we do that other folks have to see it as well.
Yeah. I mean, film festivals, you can see things at a film festival that are so more intense.
Yeah.
You know, in this film, there's no men in tights flying
Ah,
around. There's a
right.
barefoot man, but there's no men in
Yeah.
tights.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. That we think if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. Well, we looked at this film as like a piece of chamber music,
Yeah.
and that's actually that was James Glossman, our director's description of it, and I think it was so appropriate that and you don't see a whole lot of those anymore, and I get it, but as a somebody who's loved film all my life and one who's always enjoyed great acting, to be a part of something like this, I was truly excited about it, and I hope the audiences will feel the same.
Yeah. Now, when an actor and a director and everybody works on a short film like this, is I'm sure the intention or the hopes is that it could be made into a full length feature. Is that something that you're hoping for?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it at all. I think there are there's enough there to elongate this piece and make it a feature. I think so. I think, like you say, the ending though actually probably begs for a longer film,
Yes.
and that in itself say okay. So obviously that's not up to us, but yeah, I think there's definitely something there for a feature. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, what about David or what was it? The Dada? I can't remember what it was.
Mhm.
Day Day, Day Day,
Day Day,
Day
yes,
Day. Yes.
Day Day, yes, oh Day Day,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
you wonder, okay, what's going to happen here?
right,
It's just, it begs that, you
yeah,
want to know more. And
sure.
that's really, that's, if a film can do that,
Yeah.
that means it's accomplished what it's set out to do.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. I totally agree. And I think we have that with this film.
Hi, I'm Robert Wagner, and I'm on Screen and Beyond. I hope you'll be listening.
With acting, is this what you've always wanted to do when you were a little kid, or how did it come
Oh,
about?
This was never in my purview. Never. I mean, there was nobody in my immediate family who had been involved with the creative arts or anything. I was trained as an artist. I was going to be an illustrator, a cartoonist.
Ah,
And long story short, it wasn't until my senior year of college and a gentleman who was working on his doctorate there at the college I went to and directing, and he was directing a student production, and he was short one actor and he couldn't find anybody that wanted to do the role. It was a play called Matters of Choice. I'll never forget it. And just so happens we were in the same place at the same time, the student union. There must have been 500 people in there having lunch, doing whatever. And he came in with a mutual acquaintance of mine. And he was relating his dilemma to her. And she happened to peruse the room and she saw me literally at the end of the union. And she said, "Why don't you ask Jim?" And so he came over, introduced himself, told me what he was doing. And I was, I was like, I don't know anything about that. And I was pretty, you know, introverted at that time. And that was the farthest thing from my mind is acting. But he was very persuasive. And he said, I'll help you. And all. I said, okay. So I said, I'll come in. And I went there. I got the role because I was the only one who auditioned. Nobody else. And so I got the role, but as soon as I stepped on the stage and stuff, a light bulb went off. I said, "Oh my God, this is what this is." And I immediately just took to it, and I had no idea what I wanted to do once I come out of college. I was just going to go back to my hometown, Cleveland, and either teach or something like that. So I didn't do anything like that. And there was a gentleman who has since retired, and I stay in touch with him, John Scott, who taught English there, and he was also a published and produced playwright. He had some plays produced in New York, and he'd come to see this production and asked. He said, "Jim, what do you have planned after you graduate?" I said, "I don't know, Dr. John." And he said, "You know what? You have something here. You've got one of the best training facilities anywhere right back there in Cleveland." And there's a playhouse in Cleveland called the Caramoo House, which is the oldest um, continuing multicultural community theater, community center in the country. It's over now. I got to be about 106 years old. Started by a lovely couple of Jelliffs. And it has this amazingly rich history of actors who've come through Ruby Dee and Ivan Dixon, and
wow.
some amazing Ron O'Neill who's come through there, and just amazing talent. And he said, "You should go back through there." And so I said, "Oh, okay." I graduated and went back to Cleveland and was working. And I said, "I'm going to go and check them out." And I did. And I started out as a stage manager and then in small parts. And then I eventually started to graduate up to bigger stuff. And folks kept telling me, "Jim, you got something. You should think about going to New York." And I was like, "Oh my, I'd never been to New York." I said, "Oh my God, I didn't know anyone." They said, "But you really should think about going to New York." So that was 1978. I went to New York, and the rest is, as they say, is history.
Do you remember your first paid role in a TV show
First,
or in a movie?
first paid role on a TV show. Uh, let's see. Well, I did something in Cleveland for our telephone company, the Ohio Cal. It was an industrial film, and I had to play a businessman. I remember because it was my first time ever being in a helicopter. And we had a scene where we see the helicopter landing and the businessman getting out in his suit and briefcase. And there was one of the takes we were up in the air in a helicopter, was up there, and the guy who was the pilot he piloted in the military and stuff, and he kind of we got up and I heard him say, "Uh-oh." I said, "Oh no," and but he was so calm. He said, "Uh-oh." And he said, "We got a little hydraulic thing here," but we landed and we came down safely, and I was like, "Oh, thank that kind of thing." But I guess the first real paid thing was in New York. I was a member of the Negro Ensemble Company, one of the most iconic theater companies in America, started by Douglas Turner Ward and Robert Hooks, Gerald Crumb. And we did a production of a soldier's play. It was myself and young myself and Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson. We were all part of the original company. The
Wow.
play went on to win the Pulitzer and just about every award you could garner for an off-Broadway piece. And it went on to help kind of really launch our careers. And that was really kind of the first one where I said, "Oh, I think I could probably make a living doing this thing." And then, I came to California in 1990, and my very first job was the Roseanne show. And that
Roseanne,
turned
yes.
in, yeah, it turned into, oh my God, how many episodes did I do of that one? I must have done 20 some odd episodes and in each iteration, the Roseanne, and then again as the Connors, and I came
Hmm.
back, and I always had a great time. John Goodman's a dear friend of mine, and Laurie Metcalf and I, we did Balm and Gilead back in New York, and so it was nice to have some folks that I had some history with, and yeah, it's been a great ride. I've been very very fortunate, very blessed to been able to be a part of some really kind of iconic pieces.
Yeah, and you've worked with some amazing directors and
Yeah.
actors and things like that. Is there anybody who I mean, you've already named, Samuel L. Jackson and Denzel and
Yeah.
John Goodman. Uh, has there ever been anybody that you've worked with that you were like in awe of being with?
Oh man, they were all amazing. I mean, and Warren Beatty, we did a film called Bullworth.
Yes.
He was really interesting. There's Rob Reiner. I did The Ghost of Mississippi. I worked with Rob, the retelling of the Medgar Evers murder.
Hmm.
I think probably Barry Levinson was one I really enjoyed. I did four films with Barry. But yeah, I got a chance to work with Oliver Stone on Nixon with Sir Anthony Hopkins, and it was an amazing. That was an amazing time. I really have been fortunate to work with some amazing directors. Walter Hill, we did a thing called Trespass, and Walter Hill was really cool. Those guys are filmmakers. I don't even call them directors. They're filmmakers, and you can see their process and how they work. And I learned so much just by just watching how they work and listening to them. And the really good directors, they don't give a whole lot of direction. They hire you because they are confident that you can deliver. That's why they hire you. And so I felt fortunate that they saw enough in me to make me part of their films and stuff. So I felt good about that.
With Albert's Flower,
Uh-huh.
you're producing it, executive
Yes.
producing it. And
Yes.
have you ever thought of maybe directing some things? I mean, you've done, acting and everything. So have you ever
Yeah.
thought of doing directing?
I get that question quite a bit, and I don't know if I have the temperament for directing. And I don't know if that's the right word to describe it, but and I've watched folks direct. There have been actors on our show who have directed and done a really good job at it. But I don't know if I had the facility for it. I like the process of finding pieces that resonate with me, and trying to see those come to fruition. I like that process. I guess that's the artist in me, and I approach it like that. I approach a piece that I'm passionate about like a piece of canvas. Okay, what can I use? What colors can I use? Or what if it's going to be just graphite or something, or is it going to be watercolor? That's how I approach the pieces that speak to me. And I think the right now the way film and the TV industry is and the business model is, you have to create your own stuff, and that's a whole nother, that's a discussion for another time. But now you start to, if you want to get something done, you pretty much going to have to do it, yourself. And that process is exciting. It's daunting, but it's in a way it's exciting. You can get to learn a lot about yourself and how passionate you are about you wanting to tell this story, and how important is it to gather folks around you that have the same passion that you have and want to see something to fruition. So I like that part, but I'll never say never about directing. But as of right now, I'm good where I am.
This is Stephen Tobolowsky, and I am on Screen and Beyond.
Do you realize how many actors would love to have a show that they've done over 400, almost 450 episodes? I mean,
450. Yeah, yeah.
nowadays, if you go by how many episodes you make, that'd be what? I don't know how many years, 30, 40 years,
Well, oh yeah,
because they only do
oh
8 episodes or something.
yeah. And I was telling somebody at an interview, I've been extremely, extremely, extremely lucky over the years. I would imagine maybe 90% of the actors in the union would never experience what we have with this show, and to be there from day one. We had a big cake cutting ceremony for our 450th episode of
Wow.
television. And the way TV is now, especially analog TV, you won't see that anymore. It's just that's just the way television is. That's the way the business of making TV is now. Yeah, it'll only be yeah 8 episodes here, maybe 10 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
But to have when we started out, we were doing 24 episodes a year for that first maybe those first 5, 6 seasons when the show was really taking off and so you won't see that again, and so we will in that sense, I guess we are part of history. We've been able to sustain our audiences over these now 22 seasons. You're looking at, in some cases, almost 3 generations who've watched this show, in different iterations, whether it be Netflix or Hulu or network TV that have followed us and literally and in some cases we've impacted lives. I can't tell you how often I'll run into somebody, especially a young person, who says, I'm going into the field of medicine because of your show. And I
Hmm.
was at a hotel and ordered some room service, my wife and I, and the room service person came in with the stuff, and she said, oh my God, I'm such a huge fan. I watched all the episodes. I'm going into nursing school because of your show. And I get that all the time. And you have to feel really, good about that, and the fact that you've impacted lives in such a way and through some storytelling. And yeah, I'm really privileged and honored that we got a chance to be a part of something that's been
Hmm.
so iconic.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I mean, for to last that long, it's
Yeah,
it's a really a tribute to the acting and the directing and the writing on the show. It's such a
yeah,
good show.
yeah. It's been amazing. And Shonda Rhimes, she's
Oh
the
yeah.
catalyst. She is amazing. She is just, I love her to death. And she took something and really didn't know what she had, but she knew there was something, and to see it, I was just glad to have another job. I had just come off a TV series that lasted. I think we got about 13 episodes in. So when I got the call to go in and meet with these people, I was like, oh, okay. Well, I hope we can get enough here. I can get some residuals, and stuff. And yeah, it's turned to a little more than that. So I've been I've been pretty blessed.
Yeah. Well, James, we're going to finish up, but
Uh-huh.
before I ask you the final question, I want to recommend that people, if they are in the Montclair, New Jersey area, and they can get to the film festival on October 22nd and October 25th to catch your short, they should definitely do it. Albert's Flower
Thank you.
is the
Thank you.
film, and it's just a great film to watch and wish there was more.
Wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
But James, when you sit back and relax,
Uh-huh.
what's your favorite TV shows now and of the past, and what's your favorite movies now and of the past? What do you enjoy?
Oh man, it's so like I said, I'm such a fan of film and TV, but just I was the stuff of the past is I think what I like most. There's some recent stuff that's now on there that I just don't get the chance to watch it, and I should really make an effort to carve out time to watch it. But I like the old stuff, the old westerns. I'm a huge fan of westerns. Like Shane was always one of my favorites, and I was a big fan. I don't know what this says about me, of the original King Kong. I don't know, the fantasy of that just always stuck with me,
I'm
you
right there
know,
with you.
and it was just great storytelling. I thought, but those older films, the Casablanca. I mean, how can you mess with almost perfection? The film just is so timeless and still holds up as well. I mean, there's a lot, all the old TV stuff. I Love Lucy, one of the best shows that ever came on TV. The Honeymooners, my wife and I tape them. I still watch The Honeymooners now, and Jackie Gleason's character of Ralph Crandall was just so spot on. One of the great characters of television history. But those are the kind of shows. The Twilight Zone. I enjoyed so much. Yeah, the great
Yeah.
show. The Barney Miller, I thought was one of the best half hours on TV for a long time. Just the character structure and the storytelling. They were wonderful. There's so much. It's hard to pick out really one favorite.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, James, I cannot thank you enough. It's been an honor to have you on the show,
Thank you.
and I wish you luck with Albert's Flower,
Thank you.
and
Appreciate
thank
it.
you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Once again, I want to thank James for joining us, and be sure to keep an eye out for the film festival circuit and see where his new short film, Albert's Flower, is going to be showing. And of course, it will be at the Montclair, New Jersey Film Festival on October 22nd and the 25th. So if you're in that area, be sure to check it out. It's a good film. And be sure to tell a friend about On Screen and Beyond. Check us out on onscreenandbeyond.com and check out over 750 past celebrity guests. A lot of great people on there. Be sure to check it out. Thank you for watching and listening. That's it. That's a wrap for this episode of On Screen and Beyond. So until next time, when we once again take you on screen and beyond, I'm Brian Zemrak. Take care.